the elements. I'm so excited because the elements is one of those things that goes across a lot of different spiritual spaces and religions. And when you start to understand what elements are, you start really looking at the matrix differently. When you understand the why behind certain things, your critical thinking skills sharpen. Then you go outside and you start realizing like, oh, well, this is a lot of earth, so I know how to balance this environment. Or I do that when I walk into a room. If I come into a room and there's a lot of fire in that room, I know how to alchemize that room and make it less fiery. So in this reality that we have, the elements really do talk about like the simple categories that we could put certain things in. And once you're able to get those categories, you're able to manipulate or move the energy way better because you understand it. Okay, so let's start off by giving you my sources. So a lot of this is coming from Aristotle. And as I've said before, and I will keep saying again, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, Pythagoras, all of them got their information from Egypt. Kemet, okay? Africa. So many people wanted to go to Africa so bad so that they could sit at the feet of like Egyptian monks and Egyptian priests and they can show them the way, you know? So, and they took it back to Greece specifically, and kind of like broke it down and processed it a little bit more, adapted it to their culture and created their own stuff from it, all right? So when I'm bringing up Aristotle, I am not trying to give a whitewashed version of that. No, he definitely got a lot of his ideas that were sparked from Africa. But just to give sources, so Aristotle's works on generation and corruption and on the heavens, those two works really do talk about the elements and the philosophy that is attached to the elements. I also got a lot of this information from this beautiful book right here. Is a introductory book to traditional astrology. So it is by these two authors right here, Helena or Lewis. I always say their name wrong, so I'd rather just show you their name than actually try and pronounce it. Hopefully you understand the yin and the yang energy, because we're going to be talking about that again here. Aristotle believed that the elements, which is earth, water, air, and fire, were simple bodies. They were simple bodies, but they were not the building blocks of our universe because they could be broken down further. Means that they can't be the building blocks of our universe. There's something else there. And that's where we come to the primary qualities. Primary qualities are actually the building blocks of the universe. The primary qualities are hot and cold, wet and dry. Those are the two different polarities there, hot and cold, wet and dry. Those are the primary qualities. He believed that everything that we interact with in this particular universe is either going to be hot or cold, wet or dry, or a combination of those. Very important, because if you understand the primary qualities, then you will be able to, when somebody's like, well, I'm a fire sign, talk to me about a fire sign, you'll be able to critically think about what a fire sign is without having to like memorize a list of words or adjectives or stereotypes that are given to you, because you'll understand what qualities, primary qualities, are within a fire sign, okay? We understand, the people who are you and I, we understand that there is something else going on here in this dimension that is outside of taste, smell, sight, touch. So I know when I'm like thinking, that is an air quality, it's an air element. And when you're able to put it into a category, you're like, oh, I know how to use this. I know how to use this matter. This is where alchemy comes from, okay? So first they break down into active qualities and passive qualities. The active qualities are going to be hot and cold. Hot and cold. They're called active qualities because they talk about how active something is. Based off of the Kabbalion, shout out to Kristen, okay, because your girl's been reading it. There is the Hermetic law or principle of vibration. And it says everything vibrates. The active qualities talk about this vibration, talk about how energized something is. So it's either hot, where it's really energized, or it's cold, that it's not that energized. It's vibrating really fast because it's hot, or is vibrating very slow because it's cold. And just for, the science geeks out there, cold does not exist. I'm having to say cold to explain cold, but in the science world, it's either heat or lack of heat. Cold doesn't really exist, okay? But these are the polarities that we're talking about, all right? Let me give you some adjectives. Hot is going to be masculine, where cold is going to be feminine. So a lot of the things that we talked about 2 weeks ago when we were talking about what the adjectives were for yang or yang energy is going to go with hot. Those adjectives are going to look very similar. And cold is a feminine property. So the yin, all the adjectives that we gave to yin is going to look very similar to cold. So hot, masculine, let me give you some. Quick, active, speedy, arousal, passion, light as like it's not heavy. I mean, it could be light too, but light as if it's not heavy, expressive, energizing, inflammatory, expansive, mobile, movement. What else am I missing? Dynamic, activating. I think I hit everybody that I have. But this is about the speed at which something vibrates. When you add heat to a thing, it becomes more active. It speeds up. Now, when we talk about cold, which is feminine, we're talking about something that slows down. All right, this is lack of heat. So this is slower. This is timid. This is something that's contracting. This is cautiousness, and stillness, and quiet, depression, passive, lethargic, stagnant, receptive, dense, absorbent. These are all cold adjectives. All right. This is important because I am going to ask you later, I'm going to give you a scenario and be like, okay, this is what's happening. What's going on? Is it too much heat? Is it too much coldness? And what should we do to alchemize the situation? All right. So I need you to lock in. If you have questions, please ask, and no questions are dumb, not a one. All right. So then we have the passive qualities. This is talking about the form of a thing, the shape of a thing. We're talking about how like agile or adaptable it is. So it's either going to be wet or it's going to be dry, right?